Good afternoon. My name's Rene van Bedem. I'm an enterprise architect and strategist who's been working in the IT and telecoms industries for the past 20 years. I'm also vCityX133 and I blog at vCityX133.com. Today I'm here to talk to you about application transformation, in particular with IBM System P to vSphere 5.5. So the first question is, why would you migrate from System P to vSphere? So the first reason is that System P is complicated. It generally takes similar workloads running on System P to vSphere. Project implementation takes about 5 to 10 times as long. Also, support licensing and hardware is incredibly expensive, and license metering is a management issue. IBM support sites are very difficult to use, and also IBM support in particular for me is very poor in the Middle East. It's also very difficult to hire and maintain senior administrators within your organization because those skills are hard to retain. Candidate applications that I can talk about based on my experiences with data center transformation projects over the past 5 years is the IBM vSphere suite of products, in particular application server and message queue are excellent candidates for transformation. Also DB2 and Tivoli directory service are good candidates, and the Oracle suite of applications, which is database, HRMS and e-business services, is also very good candidates, and that's because these vendors support running their applications. They have the binaries for running on Linux or Windows Server with vSphere. The other platforms that are candidates for application transformation, ZOS with mainframe, IBM System I with AS400, HP UX on Superdome, HP Nonstop on Tandem, and also Oracle Solaris on Spark. So what's the benefit? Why would you do this? So the first thing is that this is the lowest total cost of ownership that you're going to get within a large enterprise organization. Also, you're going to get improved support, increased agility, improved uptime, reduced complexity, technical superiority, and also access to the rich ecosystem of automation and orchestration products from VMware. Transformation consideration. So it's very important to make sure that you have C-level buy-in of your strategy. You also need to consider how much it's going to cost from a CapEx and OpEx perspective, because transformation projects take years. You also need to consider how long it's going to take, what is going to be your downtime as you migrate. So is it going to be days, minutes, hours? Who has the skills? Are you going to use professional services, or are you going to do it yourself in-house? Does the vendor that you're going to transform, do they support Linux running on and Windows running on vSphere? The licensing models that you're going to adopt, hopefully after you've transformed, your licensing costs will decrease. If you're using physical application and database clustering, you should also consider using vSphere HA to provide availability and drop the clustering topology. For me personally, I've translated that into 4 nines of availability running on vSphere 5.1 and 5.5. Also, when you transform, we're talking about long-term projects here, don't be afraid to take the indirect route for transforming your applications. So what do I mean by that? So here we've got Temenos T24, which is the core banking system that my organization uses. You can see here I have 5 levels of the application stack: hardware, hypervisor, operating system, database, and application. So my intermediate route was to take my operating system, AIX 5.3, upgrade that to 6.1, and my hardware platform, I went from a large P595 and I consolidated that to IBM Blade Center running on Blade servers. So there I consolidated and reduced my operational costs, and then that gave me the time that I needed to transform my application 3 years later to Temenos T24, the application running on a .NET framework with Windows Server 2012, SQL Server 2012 in the back end, and also vSphere 5.5 with Cisco UCS Intel Ivory Bridge microprocessors. So when you look at the transformation stack, it's very important to work out the optimum point of transformation. So what you can see here is the 5 levels of the transformation stack, and the optimum path to take where you minimize the complexity, risk, time, and investment is to only transform the hardware, hypervisor, and operating system. As soon as you go into the database and application layers, you increase the risk and the amount of time that you're going to need to implement. And also you have to be careful that this transformation is not going to impact the operational procedures of your customers, okay? Because if they're using a different application, you have to completely re-engineer the operational procedures. The lessons learned from my experience over 5 years of doing these projects, it's very important to practice your data migration. So you need to practice, practice, and practice again. You also need to follow the development life cycle. You may be tempted to jump straight into production. Don't do it. Follow development, system integration test, user acceptance tests, go into pre-production, and then to production. Also, don't be afraid to use your pre-production environment for finalising your performance testing and also developing your standard operating procedures. It's also very important to make sure that the people and process component of your application transformation projects are met. If you don't, you risk failure. Also, don't be afraid to use VCOps for right-sizing your infrastructure, so you have predictive analysis of your vSphere infrastructure, because you want to use the optimum resources required for your business-critical applications. With large business-critical apps, you need to investigate pre-staging as well of your databases. What do I mean by that? If you have a 10 terabyte database, if you try to transform that in one hit, it's going to take too long and your downtime will be too long. So by pre-staging, you convert the database into your pre-production environment, and then on the day of your migration, you only migrate the delta. Also, with your vSphere design, you need to ensure that you have enough resources. So this is where you need to ensure that your business requirements are met all the way through the design to the implementation, configuration guide, your test plans, and then also your standard operating procedures. So this ensures that your vSphere infrastructure can actually handle your workloads. If you want to know more, VMware Consulting have specialized teams who specialize in this for transforming proprietary infrastructure to vSphere, so don't be afraid to contact them. Thank you very much.